The KXAN News Podcast is sponsored by Shelf Genie.
Welcome to KXAN News Today. Here are your Monday morning headlines. Texas lawmakers are meeting today to talk about a bill outlining rules for transgender children. The bill would block certain procedures like puberty-inhibiting drugs, hormone therapy, and surgical interventions for kids. That hearing is scheduled at 8 this morning.
The Big Pink Bus, a local mobile mammogram provider, is going to be at the Goodwill Community Center in North Austin today from 9 this morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's free for anybody who wants to get a mammogram. You have to be over the age of 40 or older and have not had a mammogram in the past year in order for you to be eligible. Following today, the Pink Bus is going to be a monthly stop at the Goodwill Community Center to continue its service to the community.
Austin Community College is hosting a groundbreaking celebration this morning at 10. It's for a new community park pavilion at its Highland campus. The space is expected to open this summer. Some parts of Central Texas could see severe weather today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Miller.
I'm Sally Hernandez. Kristen, yesterday that sun was pretty hot.
Yes.
I was thinking, man, there may be some sunscreen, but severe weather in other parts of Texas, huh?
Yeah, overall nice week, and then we get right back into it with that risk of storm. So let me show you what I'm looking at and what we need to be prepared for, because at this point we're going to be talking a quiet sky to start. I'm expecting those storm chances to come in late day, so you don't have to worry about it going to school or work this morning. We've got a cloudy sky overhead, maybe a couple little sprinkles here and there, but no meaningful rain. Your temperatures are in the 50s and 60s out there. Cooler in the northwest, stands up at 55, 63 here in Austin. 60 is down towards the south and east. You got a boundary kind of sitting over us right now, but you'll notice the temperatures everywhere are warmer. No exceptions to that. We are going to be looking at a nice, comfortable afternoon too with these numbers, with highs likely to get back into the upper 70s to low 80s. Forecast high here in Austin coming close to 80 degrees, and that 20% chance of rain, that's going to be coming in this afternoon and early evening. There is going to be a risk of some strong to severe storms, but it's a low risk and it's east of I-35 here. So I'm not expecting widespread severe storms, but we could see one or two of those storms strengthen and potentially get severe. The threat there will be hail in our eastern counties tonight. Our low rain chances, those are going to return daily, though. So we've got a pretty active weather week ahead of us. I'm going to show you these potential rainfall totals, and we'll talk about a brief drop in our temperatures. And that actually comes tomorrow. Heading into midweek, temperatures running a little cooler than what we typically see for the end of March. A lot to get to. I'll fill you in on those details next time I see you.
Following some breaking news for you this morning, we can tell you that Austin firefighters are cleaning up the scene after a house fire in North Austin.
It's on Booker Avenue near Cameron Road and I-35. You see firefighters still going in and out of the house. Looks like one of them carrying a piece of plywood to help board up the windows after a lot of devastation there. Fire department crews found a small fire earlier this morning. It was just about an hour ago that they got this call. They quickly knocked it out. They said no one is hurt because of this, but why it started, that is still under investigation. Also today, students attending schools in Jarrell ISD may notice more police officers and K-9 units on campuses all week.
Yeah, police are investigating a threat against Jarrell Middle School. The district said that there was a threat that was made on Friday, reassuring parents that they didn't find anything on campus. Jarrell ISD says it is following its usual security measure protocols. When we go in depth here, the Texas Education Agency, the TEA, told KXAN that there were about 68,000 threats made to Texas schools during the 2021 school year. And of those, 3%, roughly 2,000, did have an immediate threat. 17% were considered real but less urgent, with the people involved reported to school or law enforcement. And 69%, roughly 46,000 of the threats, were not considered credible.
You should know that students older than 10 can be charged with third-degree felonies for making school threats. Threats can be seen as terroristic violence. We talked with Hutto Police earlier about this, and we're told even those who think they're hiding behind technology, they're not hiding.
We do have intelligence resources at our disposal to where even if somebody thinks that they're cloaking the device that they're using, we can probably still be there at their doorstep.
Law enforcement says there is now extra precaution taken before deciding if a threat is legitimate.
There may soon be another way in Texas to help when it comes to chronic pain.
There's a bill that would expand medical marijuana. It's being considered by the full House of Representatives. At least it's waiting to be. State House lawmakers from both parties voting unanimously to advance it last week. House Bill 1805 would expand the list of eligible conditions for medical marijuana to include anyone with chronic pain. Right now it includes things like epilepsy, cancer, PTSD, but this would be a broad expansion. It would also increase how much THC can be in the medicine. Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller issued the licenses for these facilities, and he says Texas needs to follow the science.
This drug is much safer than hydrocodone, oxycontin, amphetamines, all the narcotics that we prescribe, that doctors prescribe. We're not asking for recreational marijuana. We're just asking to help people.
It is likely to succeed in a vote there, but unclear how much, in the House, I should say, unclear how much support it would have in the Texas Senate.
Going in depth on this, a growing number of Texans are using medical marijuana. Last year, a Texas DPS commission expanded the compassionate use program to accommodate those growing numbers. And last year, the number of patients prescribed marijuana rose from 18,000 in January to 43,000 in December. And so far this year, the number of patients has grown to more than 47,000. Several devastating tornadoes touching down in different parts of the South over the weekend. We're going to talk about what's left behind now that the storms have passed.
Longhorn season comes to a tough end on Sunday in Kansas City. We'll have that reaction coming up a little bit later. Good morning to you. The Longhorns were one step away from the Final Four, and it's in Houston. But they had to get by a tough Miami team in Kansas City to advance to that Final Four. What a run it's been under Rodney Terry. Happy to have his mom on hand as they take on the Hurricanes. Great start for Texas. They led by 8 at the half. Lit it up in the first half, over 54%. But then here comes Miami. Isaiah Wong, the bucket, cuts it to 4. And then Miami with the lead. Tough shot by Marcus Carr. It is tied at 79. This is a huge play with a minute to go. The miss looks like, well, initially the foul was called against Brock Cunningham. Then it's reversed on Brock Cunningham. So Norchad Omier goes to the line. He hits 2. Miami hits 25 of 27 free throws in the second half. They score 51 without a three-pointer in the second half. Huge turnover right there. And the Longhorns' dream season comes to an end. Started with so much turmoil and so close to getting back to the Final Four.
It was very upsetting. This team dealt with a lot of trials and tribulations. But it's just the family that we are, you want to keep playing with your brothers for as long as possible. And unfortunately, there's only one happy team at the end of it. Wish the game would have went differently, but just a lot of emotions.
It was all about this team, man, and I enjoyed every single day of this journey with this group, and I'm going to really miss it. I really miss working with this group. So it was never about me, it was always about these guys. And I love these guys.
So now we wait. Shouldn't take long. Chris Del Conte, the AD, has said he doesn't deal with coaching situations during the season, but most expect Rodney Terry to get that job permanently, but we will have to wait and see. Final Four set in Houston. It will be Connecticut and Miami, San Diego State, and Florida Atlantic. Who would have thought that 2 weeks ago? Back to you.
Not many people. And so we looked into this going in depth when we saw the Final Four. Really not what anyone expected. Majority of the brackets, they were busted the first few games as a lot of the top teams lost.
Easy come, easy go. According to the NCAA's website, there are just 6 brackets that predicted the teams that are making it into the men's Final Four. It says that means only about 1 in every 600,000 got it right. So all the number ones were just kind of done.
They're all
right?
done. And and the number 2s also. you forget about trying to get 64 teams right. You're just like, only 6 people got the final 4 right.
Who are those 4 people, and do they have any kind of sports background, or were they just like, you know what, I'm going to focus on the team colors and other kinds of ways to predict the winner? All right.
Still ahead, how the site of a fire has turned into a dump site and why the burned structure here is still standing.
This KXAN News podcast is brought to you by Shelf Genie. I'm Rosie Newberry from KXAN Studio 512. Considering replacing your kitchen cabinets? Struggling to find or reach things? Go to shelfgenie.com/Austin. Shelf Genie designs custom pull-out shelves for your existing cabinets, adding convenience and value to the most used room in your home. Shelf Genie custom pull-out shelves, everything in reach.
Good morning, a live look outside from the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center, and it is a nice start to this Monday. Kristen tracking what could be more active weather later in the day, so we're going to touch base with her in just a moment. Want to tell you, though, more people are confirmed dead following powerful tornadoes in Mississippi and Alabama. The twisters hitting on Friday, killing at least 25 people in Mississippi and 1 man in Alabama. And you can just see here this drone shot showing the path of destruction. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves visiting the devastated town of Rolling Fork on Sunday. At least 13 people died in all of this. Greg Henderson has lived there most of his life. He tells the Today Show he came home after the storm only to find nothing left.
Lord knows where it's at. I mean, I know some of it's here because I see some of my remnants, but some of it was definitely taken away.
But he was here.
Right there. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's nothing, man. I mean, but hey, I'm alive.
He is alive. President Joe Biden declaring a major disaster there in Mississippi, ordering federal aid to help with the recovery effort. And we want to show you this. These are satellite images of Rolling Fork, Mississippi. The first in December, things looking normal. But the second image was from March 26, showing all of the damage there. Buildings wiped off the map. Tornado moving through the southwest and northeast of the town. And an emotional moment on air as a tornado made its way toward the town of Amory, Mississippi.
Meteorologist Matt Laban at the NBC affiliate was reporting during the live broadcast as the twister rapidly approached the city. So he is tracking this, and then he becomes visibly emotional when he sees what's about to happen.
Dear Jesus, please help them. Amen. Okay, we got a new scan coming.
Said a short little prayer there because he knew that that twister was moving into a populated area. So far, no deaths have been reported in that city, but the city did sustain significant damage. No doubt maybe he saved lives too by telling people what they needed to do, get out of the way.
Absolutely. So Matt Laban, for those from West Texas, he actually got his start in Lubbock at the NBC affiliate, and he's the same meteorologist. If you remember, back in 2014, he was yelling at his crew in studio to get to a tornado shelter because there was a tornado getting closer to the studio, and he's like snapping at him, and he's very emotional, but it literally pulls at your heartstrings. Because he's doing his job, and you can tell he's so passionate about who he's covering these storms for that it makes you react. You gotta think your job is one that you see danger coming right away, and that death could be imminent. I don't know really another job besides first responders where that this is something that is going to hurt people. Yeah, for sure. With that kind of radar signature too, very, very scary. Let me show you what's going on with your forecast here at home, because we do have a low severe weather risk for the later part of today, but it will be nothing like what Mississippi had to endure on Friday. I mean, at the last check, they had 26 people lose their lives in those tornadoes. And nowadays, with this kind of technology in our ability to warn with our tornadoes, it's just sad. It's really sad to see. And we're going to continue with that southeast tornado threat later on today. But no tornadoes expected here at home. In fact, we're seeing a lot of cloud cover overhead. Remember last week, it seemed like every single day started with cloud cover. We're going to see the same exact thing this week. Clouds and radar across the state, not showing anything too exciting just yet. You'll see the clouds clouds under Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center camera there in South Austin. It's possible you get 1 or 2 little raindrops out of it, but it's not going to be anything substantial. 63 this morning, humidity at 52%. Your temperatures are in the 50s and 60s across all of Central Texas this morning. It's a nice mild start. We get back to our 80s today. Rain chances, though, starting to pick up after noontime. So I'm thinking late day, so late afternoon through early night. That's when we're going to be on the lookout for some of those storms. So let me start this at lunchtime and watch out west. We're talking a few isolated storms in the hill country, probably as early as 5, 6 p.m. And we're going to continue to watch kind of these isolated storms bubble up. Along and east of I-35, that's where we've got the most instability here. So some of those storms could be on the strong to severe side. But again, highlighting the fact this will be a very low risk. It's a 1 out of 5. East of I-35, we'll be watching for hail, but that will be the primary concern, and really not a whole lot of rainfall anticipated between now and tomorrow morning. But low rain chances will return daily. We've got today's rain chance into tomorrow morning. You'll notice Wednesday some low rain chances, same kind of thing on Thursday, but our rainfall potential very low over the next 6 to 7 days. Most of us not measuring much more than 1/4 of an inch by the time we hit the weekend. So 80 today. Here's that brief cool down that I mentioned earlier. We're down to the 60s tomorrow, low 70s Wednesday. Back to the 80s we go. Thursday into Friday, we'll be watching for some better storm chances late week. And of course, this time of year, there's always going to be that concern for maybe 1 or 2 strong to severe storms. But I'll let you know details as we get closer. And right now, the 80s will take us all the way through the weekend.
It's terrible. It's almost like you're in a third world country to me.
An East Austin woman describing an eyesore in her neighborhood. The site of a fire is now a dump site after the burned structure still stands. This is more than a year later. After that fire, still that mess. We've gotten a few of these types of complaints lately, by the way. And KXAN's Mike Rush finds out if you find yourself in a similar situation, you could be in it for the long haul.
The view from Diana Meltzer-Wilson's front door is eye-catching.
It's just gotten worse.
For all the wrong reasons.
Mannequins that need to be dressed and vacant vehicles.
And the painted signs.
It says, love thy neighbor, even if she is bat crazy.
Whitson says neighbors in the North Austin community have been trying for years to get the owner to clean up. Austin Code Department records show 8 complaints in the last 3 years. A Code Department spokesperson describes a back and forth process where the owner would clean up sometimes to get in compliance and not act on other violation notices. The Code Department even got a warrant to remove junk from the front and backyards. But the spokesperson says the owner kept collecting more stuff. After another code violation was posted on the property last October, the house caught fire early the very next morning.
But it's pretty active, okay? So we'd like you guys to evacuate just for safety.
This is footage from a doorbell camera provided to KXAN by a neighbor. The Austin Fire Department ruled the fire, which spread to the house next door, accidental, stating in a report a candle had fallen in the house, which had no electricity and major hoarder conditions. Nearly 6 months later, what's left of the house still stands.
Should be torn down. And so, but we're waiting on the city.
My name is Mike Rush, calling from KXAN News. On the phone, the homeowner would not tell me his plans for the property, focusing instead on his strained relationship with his neighbors.
They don't come straight to me and ask me my problems or about issues.
Do you feel that the city should have acted faster, that by now this should be gone?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think they've been dragging their feet quite a bit.
It's embarrassing.
Mary Johnson in East Austin knows that feeling. Who do you feel is responsible in this?
Right now, the city.
2 fourplexes caught fire in her neighborhood a year and a half ago. Just the slab is left for one that was destroyed, but the other, heavily damaged and unlivable, is still there. And both properties have become prolific junk piles.
It looks like a dump site. That's what we're looking at, basically.
City records show between the 2 fourplexes, there have been 23 complaints since early 2021, 12 of those this year about the condition of the properties. Here's what a code inspector had to say during a meeting in January.
The scope and extent of the illegal dumping on the both 6907 and 09 properties is on a scale which is unusual even for Austin code officials.
A couple bought both fourplexes after the fire. One of the owners told KXAN investigates the delay is from what she considers red tape from the city and one of her employees dropping the ball on getting permits.
It doesn't offer me nothing because I'm here living with it.
Johnson can't understand why the city, with all those complaints, hasn't acted faster to take control of the situation. But her problem has competition. According to Austin Code records, there are more than 4,500 active structure condition violations in the city since the beginning of 2021. Austin Code does not designate which are related to fires, but the process is the same for all of them to be cleared for demolition. The city's Building and Standards Commission is in charge of that, and it meets once a month.
Demolish all portions of the fire-damaged commercial fourplex structure and remove its debris, leaving the lot clean and raked.
In January, the members green-lighted the process to tear down the fourplex, but the property owner tells me she has since started working with the city to get permits to rebuild. And soon after I spoke with Johnson, this happened. The property owner cleaned the place up and put up a fence, something she says has been in the works for a while.
I got on the phone, I called my sister, guess what? She said, what happened? I said, they cleaning it up. I think KXAN made a great difference.
As for this property,
trespassers will be greeted by a machete, I promise.
Austin Code says the Building and Standards Commission is scheduled to consider the house for demolition this month. Because of the backlog, the property has been pushed to the next month before, but Whitson is hopeful.
So I would think that the city would step in just to help our neighborhood and community.
Mike Rush, KXAN Investigates.
Just a few days ago, the Building and Standards Commission voted to approve a demolition order for that house, but that process can take up to 8 months.
The homeowner said that he intends to clean up the yard as soon as possible and is trying to work with his insurance company to rebuild before the city tears the house down.
Thanks for joining KXAN News today. You can also listen to KXAN News Nightly every weekday after 5:30 p.m. for in-depth coverage on what matters most to you.